Jesus, I actually forget how quickly that intro stops. It's like most intros, you've got a little time to get yourself sorted. But yeah, hello everybody, and welcome back to Talking Nerdly, Season 1, Episode 2. I've put the little thing in the banner at the bottom there. That's really nostalgic. Remember when we used to like pirate movies and torrent movies, and it was always like Walking Dead SO1, EO3 or whatever like that? I used to love that. Miss those days. Do you remember who your favorite pirater was? In you know, you always got the little description. We were talking about this at work the other week.
No, but I used to back in the day. Yeah, I'm not even if it still exists. I found a website. Basically, it was like a forum, and it was one of these places where you used to trade, put stuff on a disc, and you trade discs backwards and forwards. I had pretty much every. This was back in the days when Buffy and Angel were on TV.
Yeah.
It was so you'd get people send me like the latest discs with like Buffy and Angel on and stuff. Yeah, that was, and then people found out how to rip their own DVDs. That was a mental time. Yeah, I miss those days sometimes. I met a guy on there. He came around to my house and took a load of VHS. He took a load of VHS tapes off me that I taped off TV, and he turned them all into DVDs. It was a wild west back then.
To think about the world we live in now, you know what I mean? Like, you can get it at the click of your fingers. For me, it was if I ever saw in the description the initials FXJ, I knew we were getting a proper copy. This was like a DVD rip copy, and it usually had shouldn't really be talking about piracy, should we? But that was a bit of a weird place to start. But yeah, anyway, so this is Talking Nerdly. We are on episode 2, and I am joined by Big Boss Man of nerdly.co.uk, Phil Wheat. How the bloody hell are you, mate?
Plugging away as usual, trying to keep things going, even though we're a bit short-staffed at the minute.
Yeah, on the website, you mean, yeah?
Yep.
What's going on? Yeah, you were telling me that you wanted to start bringing in some more writers and stuff. So
yeah. Essentially, I've not lost, but people have lives, don't they? You know, everyone's got a life, you know, and it's a website. Website's not important as everyone's life. So, you know, I always say, what happens, move on, you know, pause, take a break, move on, whatever you want to do. So I've got like one of my guys, he's got some health issues, so he's slowed down. Another guy's writing his second book, so he's slowed down. Trying to get some, and then like I say, I've got nobody doing video games at the minute, which I need to sort out because I've got I can write about movies, but video games you always struggle. The movies I always tend to personally I relate them to other movies or like things that experiences I've had and stuff. But with games, you can't really do that. You talk about graphics and stuff. No. I mean, I've got games that I should have reviewed from 2021.
Nice.
I still owe people reviews from. Yeah, we're trying to get some more fresh meat on board, as it will.
So what we're looking for, and if there's people out there listening or watching, what kind of guy are we looking for? Or gal, or
gal. You know, I would say I'm looking for someone who's open to anything, because we get some weird stuff. I mean, we get some. Obviously, we like you always say, low budget, no budget. We get the gamut of stuff, and you get some people that only want to watch the latest blockbusters, that only want to watch big budget stuff, and a lot of our stuff is super low budget, and you have to kind of find people that can appreciate a film because of its, you know, despite the budget, look past the budget, and some people that's quite tricky to do for some people. So, you know, it's just trying to find. You know, like you know it yourself. You review movies and stuff, and sometimes the ideas are fantastic, the execution's not so much. But it all comes down to, you know, some people can forgive that and think, fantastic idea. You know, that performances were good, but some people are just like, it sounded terrible, it looked rubbish, and that's it. They can't get past that. But you know,
like my thing is that. Because a lot of these guys as well, we kind of know most of these guys, or we've talked to some of these guys, and it's sort of like, you know, the backstory, you know, the history of how this movie did or didn't get made, and the way, you know, it all kind of went down, especially on the independent scene. But sometimes you kind of have to be able to hone in on that one thing. Like say the camera work's not amazing, but the story's absolutely blinding. We're going to concentrate a little bit more on the story, and we'll touch on the camera work. But you've always got to be fair.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I guess that's what we're looking for. I mean, I'll watch any old shite, you know that.
Same with me. I mean, I've just watched a film that came out the other week on DVD, Legend of Whores, not Whores, H-A-W. I said this at work. I said, I watched this film, Legend of Whores, and they're like, what? No, Whores, H-A-W-E-S. And that guy, that filmmaker there is like, always appreciate that you can look past the ridiculously low budgets that I work with. Because that film looks like, if you look at the credits, it was financed by the people that own the farm on which it was set.
Right, yeah.
It's something. It's even there. It's the Hawes family. It's the Hawes family farm, and it's like they've financed it, and he's made this like horror western. But yeah, it's the same thing. You can look past. Thanks for looking past all the downside, as it were, and seeing what we were trying to do, what we have done. But it's trying to find people that can do that as well. To write is sometimes tricky. It's sometimes tricky.
It can be, but anyone out there who fancies jumping on board the Nerdly train and wants to write us some reviews or drop us some videos or whatever you want to do, just come and join us, because we are an awesome bunch of guys. Except for Jason Brigger, we don't really like him that much, but we just keep him around.
I tolerate him because he writes TV reviews for hero stuff. I'm joking.
Tolerate is the word. I mean, he does write reviews for Stargirl, and who really needs that shit in their life? But yeah, so as Phil alluded to before, we are nerdly.co.uk, and this is the official channel of the website. Loads of my video reviews go on here. Phil does a lot of unboxing videos, which I really like to watch, because I am that sad. I just like watching unboxing videos. But there's loads and loads of content on there, exclusive interviews and everything like that. And of course, go to the website, check out some of our podcasts. We've got loads of other writers, loads of other podcasts on there. And yeah, we cover everything, the big budget, the low budget, and the no budget, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But we've got some Talking Nerdly section, and then we're going to be moving into a little bit of, I think it was Talking Adkins, because I love to talk about Scott Adkins. I love that guy.
I've met that guy.
You've met that guy?
I've met that guy.
Oh, you asshole.
I never told you this before.
No. Did you roundhouse kick it in the face?
No, he was very nice. I got a picture with him, signed some of me DVD and Blu-ray covers.
Right, okay, let's stop the podcast now. I've had enough. That's I've been chasing the man down for a good 2 years, and it turns out you're best mates with him. You went for coffee and potentially slept in a hotel room that night with him. But I mean, that's just alleged. But yeah, so we're going to be doing some Talking Adkins, because the Accident Man 2 movie came out not that long ago, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And then we decided to throw in our top fives. Did you get your top five okay?
Yeah. That top five was remarkably. Actually, no, I tell a lie. There's a one that's not on that list that possibly could have been in the top five, but it got shoved out. Sort of like a special mention. But yeah, I dropped it because it's a subject matter I don't like covering.
Okay.
But the film itself is not.
And then we will get to some Talking Wrestling. It's not been the greatest of weeks for the wrestling, but there's still a couple of things to talk about, so we'll probably glance through that section. And then some Talking Quickies, which is basically we're going to be throwing out some reviews of some movies that we watched recently that either have been on the website but we still want to mention it, or we just didn't have time to write about for the website or do a video for, in my case, because I tend to not write much anymore. And you know what it is? I did actually start writing a review the other night, and then I realised I just didn't really care that much about the movie to write one.
Yeah, that's always a struggle. That's always a struggle. Good movies, easy. Bad movies, easier. Stuff that you sort of like, it was good. It's all right. That's the tricky thing to try and.
Exactly. And then trying to hone in on something, when that's the case, is like, it's a losing battle.
Yeah.
I'd rather be passionate enough to keep writing about it than faking the funk. I'm not about that life. So yeah, but the last episode we talked a little bit about the Grimfest Festival, and that went down a storm. There were some great movies there. I have been balls deep in the Romford Horror Fest this last couple of weeks, which is why I've not put any videos out on the channel in the last couple of weeks, because I've just been watching all their stuff. And I'm quite excited because we've got some great selection this year for the festival. And I think the Horror Festival could probably be bigger than the main festival this year, which is awesome.
Yeah, I've seen some of the they've been putting little bits out on Facebook, and they got this film's been shown. Some of them. What's that? Is it there's a dentist one or something, or a doctor one? It's like a short film.
Sensory, the Irish movie.
Yeah, brilliant. That looks.
It's so good. Yeah, I mean, you can't really get a bad Irish movie. Let's be honest. Like even the bad ones are great. But yeah, that's a great short movie. I'm glad that one got selected. I'm pretty sure I was raving about that. But we'll be starting to do our Zoom call soon, where we have to start whittling down the final selections and whatnot. And that's going to be fun. But to be fair, I'd say there's a list of like 7 or 8 that are just dead certs. They've been shown in some other places as well. Obviously, we've got our man, My Little Banjo, or My Bloody Banjo, his movie Eating Miss Campbell's going to be getting shown, which I just want to see that on the big screen, man. You watched that as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I even backed that on Indiegogo.
So you did.
It literally sent an email. I've just had an email about an hour or two ago saying My Bloody Banjo's with the BBFC for certification for the new Blu-ray that they're putting out, and that I think I said that's coming in February, along with a digital copy, and then he's going to give out digital copies of Miss Campbell. Will be, I think it's May. I think he said now. But yeah, so I backed it. I've got a T-shirt, Bloody Banjo T-shirt, Eating Miss Campbell T-shirt, and getting the Blu-rays, digital copies of both films, and the vinyl soundtracks of both films as well. So
amazing! I love all that. And his is Liam Reagan, isn't it?
Yeah.
His marketing campaign is just flawless. He's almost dead to himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's picked like the people that just slag the film off and put that straight on the poster. You know,
exactly.
Worst film I've ever seen. This is terrible, not funny, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
I almost feel terrible because like he took my quote and he started like banding it around the place, or our quote, sorry, and he started banding it around the place, and I'm like, it's like because we really like the movie, and then everything he puts on is like terrible, repugnant piece of trash, and it's like, oh man, don't put me next to that. But yeah,
the guy knows what he's doing. He's got, he's grown up on Trauma. Trauma did exactly the same. Yeah. You know, they always played up the fact that people hated their stuff, so he knows what he's doing.
And see, it's been officially banned in South Africa as well, which is just great. That's, if you're gonna get banned from anywhere. We've got a documentary that is doing some of the festivals right now as well, A Life on the Farm. And I tell you now, I shit you not, watch this movie. You have got to see this.
It sounds weird. I mean, we reviewed it on the site. It's just like, why is a film about a farm playing like horror film festivals? It's so weird. I mean, I haven't seen it myself, so I don't know why. But there's got to be something there.
It is. It's just the abstract weirdness of the whole thing, and you're not 100% sure if what the guy is doing is fully aware how crazy it is, or if he's just some sort of like genius. I don't know. It's a strange one. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I finished it, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to watch that again soon.
Yeah. It sounds like there was a film, documentary years ago, sort of Fright Fest. I think We're Alone Now, which was about 2 guys that were like really into Tiffany, the old 80s pop star, and that was the same thing. It was just weird people filmed weirdly, and that was shown at Fright Fest because the same thing. The way it came off at the end, it was just like creepy as all because it was just so weird.
Class. I love that kind of thing. We got Feed Me, which is the Richard Oakes and Adam Leder. They showed at Fright Fest. Did they show at Fright Fest, or was it Grimfest?
Grimfest.
They showed at Grimfest, but they're doing really bloody well, to be fair. They're hitting loads of different festivals. They're winning loads of different awards. And yeah, it's a great flick, so I'm glad we've got that on board.
I've not seen that one yet. That's one I'm waiting to see. I've not caught that one up yet. But yeah, it's every time it's played somewhere, there's been a cracking response to that. You can see it online. When is it? Plus, he played. What was it played? He played Grimfest. He's played some other festivals, hasn't it, recently?
Over in Spain. It's done like a tour of Spain on like 9 different festivals right now. But yeah, it's played in like the horror festival over here as well, another one as well, down in London, which is great, and it's great to see them getting the acclaim. I was a fan of Hosts. It wasn't without its issues, and I don't think the lads would ever quibble with me on that. But I could see what they potentially had in terms of like their style and their direction, and Feed Me is the movie that they were born to make. It's a great flick.
But I talk about Hosts. I've seen people, when it was playing. You didn't, apart from us plugging the hell out of it, you didn't see much. But I've seen people talking, saying, "Oh, just watch Feed Me." From the guys that made Hosts. Hosts was really good. Feed Me's even better. So it's I don't know if people are going back and watching Hosts, or it's just finally people have started to talk about it. But it does seem to have seem to be getting out there a bit more now.
Do you ever find that as well? Like you review a movie and you kind of like you might be a little bit like more for it, but then like there's a lot of other people who are reviewing it and they're not really for it. But then like a little while later, once all the recency bias has calmed down, people then start to like not necessarily re-review, but they're like, actually I've been thinking about it, and that was a decent movie. Yeah. You ever find that?
Yeah, all the time. The time. It seems to be at some points. It seems to be. I was watching. No, not reading. There's a, Laurie Brewster,
right?
Scottish filmmaker. He was just saying there seems to be a thing now at film festivals of audiences just saying rubbish, terrible, rubbish. But then afterwards, like when it comes out on streaming or whatever, it's like pretty good film actually. It seems to be some weird reaction that festival audiences are wanting to like shit on stuff.
Yeah,
it seems to be like de rigueur to be like, this is terrible. Whether that's just mob mentality or I don't know, or people are just terrified these days to be like, I actually quite like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, you can't have an original thought these days. Let's be honest. Just quickly, we've got The Walking Against the Rain as well, which is a Scott Lias movie. I really, really dug this film. I reviewed it on the website, I believe. I think there was loads of us that reviewed it on the website.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be an absolute banger when it like people really start seeing it, but it's doing well as is. And a couple of short movies that I absolutely think people should check out. There's a cyberpunk short that I dug the absolute life out of called The Rider. It's a great little short. The one I sent you a little screenshot of that I was watching, the John Morrison short, the Iron Sheik Massacre. It's not great. It's just bloody brilliant. Like it's just absurd.
Well, I've watched. I think I've watched pretty much everything John Morrison's. He did a little run, didn't he, when he wasn't really wrestling? He did like 3-4 films back to back. And they were all decent. He obviously made good use of his skills and his parkour that he does, and they were all decent. So I'll plus it sounds completely mental. So I'm gonna give it a shot.
It's just so. There's not much else you can say about it. It's just ridiculously absurd to the point where you're sitting there and you're going, I'm enjoying this, but I really don't know if I should be. So it's a little bit of an awkward enjoyment. And the last one I want to talk about, I don't really know why this is in the horror festival. I think it should go into the main festival, but I think if it gets, I don't think it's been selected yet, but I hope it does. It's called Cyanide, and it's literally a short movie about these two women who are fighting to take a cyanide capsule to like kill themselves. Basically, it's basically 10 to 15 minutes of just punchy, kicky. Two girls kicking the crap out of each other in one room.
Sounds great. There's a Japanese film, isn't there? That's very similar. Two girls in an apartment beating the hell out of each other.
Just love stuff like that.
And is that what's it? There's that one that was it a Russian one?
Oh, the one in the house.
Yeah, it was a bloke and his wife and the guy and Kate just beating the crap out of each other throughout the house. He's got another one out now as well on.
What was that? Please let me leave or something like that. It was. I love that film. I actually really enjoyed that film. I want to watch that again.
It's got another one out on. I just noticed it last night on iTunes.
Excellent.
Which sounds exactly the same. It's about a mother that goes to prison, leaves the kid with the grandmother, comes out of prison. Grandmother doesn't want to give the kid up. They just start beating the crap out of each other and chasing each other across.
So is it a sequel?
It sounds like a sequel. No, it literally sounds like the same film, just across a city with a family rather than, you know.
I love that. I'm gonna have a look for that when I get off this. I can't remember what that film was called, but I'll remember it later. Another little movie that I want to quickly talk about. You're talking about back in Eating Miss Campbell, Stuart Sparks' new movie, which is also starring Lindsay Crane. How to Kill Monsters was on the Indiegogo. I think we've both seen The Book of Monsters. That was a cracking little
great movie.
Low budget comedy kind of. I love that flick as well. But I backed the Indiegogo for How to Kill Monsters because the trailer, although it tells you literally nothing about the movie, just got me. So little plug for our man Stuart Sparks. Plus, it's a whole cast of people that are just crazy talented, and I keep seeing popping around in different little bits and pieces in the circle. Like Michaela Longdon was in that movie. I've now seen her in countless other films. You know, so there's like this nice little group of scream queen women in Britain right now, which I'm loving. Charlie Bond.
Oh God, yeah, Charlie Bond. She's killing it. With you know, I mean, power to cheerleaders.
Absolutely.
You know, and she's eating Miss Campbell, isn't she? So you know, she's popping up everywhere, and she was even in it was like a low budget. Was it Jekyll and Hyde? Or was it Dracula? I get around. There was a guy who made a bunch of British remakes, and she was in one of those, and she was like the only reason to watch that film. Everyone else was like blown up. You know, she blew everyone up with water with performance and stuff. So yeah, there is. There's a growing. It seems to be like a growing swell of. It's like a little group of people that they make. Like I say, they make their way through a bunch of films, and you know, it might get to a point where you say them again, but at the minute, it's like they're all killing it with whatever they do. So.
As long as they keep killing it, I don't think people will say that them again. But I mean, I'm like that anyway. I'm one of these people that literally, and I've said it in many reviews that I've written, I'll watch a movie based on somebody who's in it.
I watch movies based on some guy that produced it. That's not even directly associated with it. He just produced it. It's like, he did some pretty good stuff in the past, so I'll check that out. Yeah, we all do that. Yeah.
And the one last thing that I want to talk about in the Talking Nerdly section, obviously, if there's anything you want to throw it in a second, but. Nerdly TV. You excited for this? You don't know much about it, do you?
I don't know what this is your plan. This is you're throwing this Nerdly TV around. Look, me and the missus tried Nerdly TV back in 2013.
It's on the back end of the channel, isn't it? It's right away.
It's private. No one else can see it. Yeah. If you can make a go of it, then yeah. Because
I mean. I'm calling it Nerdly TV. It's not necessarily going to be like an actual TV challenge. Basically, I've set up an account on the Twitch channel. I'm going to be doing some streaming. I've got myself a nice little setup for streaming some games. Going to do movie talk with that. Sort of just sitting around playing games, talking movies. I'll get some interviews on there, some proper interviews with like round table guests kind of thing, which I'm quite up for. I just want to try something different, you know, and then let's see what we can do. Anything else you want to drop in the Talking Nerdly before we move on to Talking Adkins?
No, like I say, we just I'm out there now. I've got a bit of a project going on. Oh, well, let's tease it here. This is weirdly born out of watching. I watched films by a guy called Scott Jeffries.
Mm-hmm.
Proportion Productions. Jagged Edge Productions. He's now just started another one, Dark something Productions. He puts out low budget stuff mainly through US distributor called ITN. There's a US distributor, ITN, same as our news. Weird. But yeah, he puts that stuff through them, and his last 6 films have all debuted on Amazon Prime, and he didn't even know about it. So it was born out of that. I was like, I wrote this thing. Basically, I wrote a thing saying he must not like his movies because he's not promoting his stuff. But
I saw this, yeah.
I've reached out to guys that have written films for him, and it's like that's not the case. So I'm working on a project at the minute, trying to put like a big feature together about the state of from that perspective of that particular film production company, and they put out like what must have been about at least 100 films in the past 2 years. It's a ridiculous amount of films, and I'm trying to put it out from the perspective of that. So I'm working on that, but I'm trying to get more perspectives from other people. I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, I started it in October, and I'm still plugging away at it. Originally, like I said, started out as a rant about how this guy must hate his movies, and but it's not. It turns out distributors just don't give a monkeys these days. They just stick it. I mean, a lot of his stuff was on YouTube for free. One of these, these free horror channels. Apparently, that's the new model. You stick it on YouTube, get the ad revenue from YouTube, then you stick it on DVD and get the money from like Walmart and Target in America, and then they put it on Amazon or or like a lot of people put it on Tubi. That service in America that we can't get. It goes on Tubi because apparently Tubi makes more money than Netflix, Amazon. You get more returns for the people watching the ads on Tubi than you get paid by Netflix and Amazon and stuff for low budget stuff.
Wow. That's mental.
That's what's come out of this. Like I say, I've been researching this stuff, and it's mental how the landscape is completely changed now. Completely changed.
So you see, listeners and viewers and nerdly followers, we do our due diligence. So there you go. We don't just slag people off.
No, we don't. We try not to. Because when you do, they usually come back and bite you in the arse.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a few of them. So let's move into talking Adkins. I need to get some little bumpers, but yeah. So we're talking Scott Adkins tonight. We're both Scott Adkins fans. Let's be honest. I've got a little bit of a man crush on him. You've actually met him. Something I didn't realize. But recently, Accident Man 2 came out. I think you reviewed it on the website as well, and I have a video review ready to go. I've just not uploaded it yet because I'm lazy. But I thought we would just sit and talk about a little bit about the movie, and then get into our top 5 Adkins performances. And all of this is basically to stroke the man's ego, so he'll come on the podcast.
Why not?
So, what did you think of Accident Man 2? What was because obviously this is a sequel to a movie that I think again we both loved the first movie. So, how did you really get on with this film?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Perfect blend of action and comedy for me. I mean, I read the comic book years ago. I sort of reread it when the first movie came out. But what he's done with that, he is that character now. I couldn't envision anybody else being him. And the complete the ridiculousness of the second film with some of the stuff that goes on, the dodgy James Bond-esque gadgets that don't work, and like the weird, it's the girl that comes and beats him up for money.
Yeah,
that feels like a throwback to like Odd Job and stuff like that in the old movies when they had like a hired assassin assistant type thing. But it's all done in like massively tongue in cheek. But like I say, at the same time, it's absolutely. I mean, the Kirby brothers that directed it, obviously they know the stunt work.
Yeah,
and you can tell that from watching the movie. It's absolutely rammed. I really would I say it's my favorite of his. I might have to go back and watch the Undisputed movies, but probably so far, I think that might be my favorite Scott Adkins movie so far.
It's definitely up there for me. As you say, perfect blend. We know he can do the punchy kicky. We know Scott Adkins. That's where he lives. That's his wheelhouse. But recently as well, with movies like Avengement and the one at Matt Cloud, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. Spoilers. He's starting to really get into like this little, like he's just sitting in this bag of throwing like the sort of, I want to say Jackie Chan, but he's not going as far as Jackie Chan with the comedy. But he's getting there, like, and I'm loving it. It just absolutely suits him. And then the deadpan Brit humor, what on earth is he doing? I thought this film was incredible. I really did, and I've watched a couple of interviews that they did, the Kirby brothers, and as you say, stunt guys don't come much better than them. Like they've literally worked on just about everything. So it's just an amazing little film.
The thing is, as with pretty much every Scott Adkins movie that I always watch, I always come at me going, why is this just being dumped somewhere? Why, we've got a, it goes back to that same thing I'm talking about, the Scott Jeffrey stuff. It's like, there seems to be a thing where the British public won't get behind this British guy who's killing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scott Adkins is, if I will say, if this was the era of VHS and we were in that, he was in that era, I think it'd have been up there with Rothrock. It wouldn't have been like top tier Seagal and Van Damme at the time. The directed video stuff, but he would have been like second tier like Rothrock and I think he would have. But now it's just like, why are we Brits not getting behind someone who's putting in the work and really producing some great movies?
It's such a strange one. Again, I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying there, and I'm pretty sure I've seen him in interviews say that, like, if the VHS boom was now, he'd be huge. He'd be a megastar.
He'd be absolutely massive, yeah.
Yeah, but he's come into it and he's the best at his game. He's just a little bit behind.
The game's changed. The game's completely changed. Yeah.
The game's changed. Yeah. But I want to give a massive shout out because another super independent, underrated actor that I've seen in loads of little bits and pieces, normally plays a little bit more comedy than usual, but Bo Fowler as Poco the Clown is just incredible.
That's absolutely insane performance, insane character.
Isn't it? Like, and the layers to that character, like, you kind of look at it and you think it's an insane clown that's going to kick the shit out of Scott Adkins. But then, like, when you're throwing in the middle of the fight that you can't feel any pain and stuff like that, and then, like, he's like, Scott Adkins is giving him the, I'm going to make you feel pain. Yeah, what a character, and I'm so glad he got to play a maniacal mofo like that.
It really sort of harkens back to the comic book roots, them kind of out there characters that, they put that in their movie. I don't think if some big budget studio made that film, they'd be like, this is a bit too out there. But it really does capture the kind of the comic book roots of the Accident Man, as it were. Yeah.
And apparently this is like you've obviously read the books and whatnot, but this is sort of more of an original take on the character. So Adkins is just flying off the seat of his pants now, which I love.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he gets the chance to keep going with this, he definitely should. If it can get, I mean, Accident Man obviously got the money back. If the sequel can do the same any way it can, then I want to see him keep going with more of them. I think you could turn this into a pretty solid sort of direct to market franchise. You really could.
Oh, absolutely, and just stay in that bag because we love it. But yeah, with that, we're not going to do ratings or anything on the movie. I think we both just loved it, and you can see the reviews on the website as well. But let's do a little top 5 of Scott Adkins movies, and let's see where we land. So let's go one for one, and I'll let you start.
Well, I mentioned in the beginning there's the little special mention. The one that didn't make my list is Green Street 3.
So that is in my list. That's the one that the question marks are.
See, it's weird. I despise with a passion British gangster movies and British hooligan movies.
Yeah.
But Green Street 3, not so much a hooligan movie. It's kind of like Atkins took it in a little bit of a different direction. But yeah, doesn't make the top 5, but it is a special mention. It really is. It's the only one of those films I'll ever watch again.
To be fair, I was a big fan of Green Street 1. Like, I don't have the aversion to hooligan movies. But I was a big fan of Green Street 1. I thought it was a cracking little flick. And I actually think Green Street 2 is super underrated. Shoot me. I think a lot of people probably would shoot me for saying that, but I'm genuinely like a little fan of that movie. But I think Green Street 3, it's got this really different vibe, this mental sort of, it's more like army guy kind of vibe, and it sort of goes into, you remember thingy, The Substitute?
Yes.
Remember that film? I get that kind of vibe whenever I watch Green Street 3, which doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened a couple of times, and it's kind of just got one of those vibes to it. But it did make my top 5. I just put question marks because I knew you weren't going to be happy.
Oh, there you go. Your top 5, my special mention. There you go.
Well, there you go. So I guess I started that then, so you can go into yours.
I think I basically done mine in date order. So, Undisputed 3 is definitely. I didn't know whether it was Undisputed 2, 3, or 4. You could probably interchange them all, but I think 3 was kind of the one that cemented it. Thinking, yeah, this is. He's taken. I mean the move from 1 to 2 for a start was totally left field, but then 3 to just turn it into a very sort of 90s-esque sort of blood sport kickboxer type thing, you know. Just, I mean, I love that. I mean, I love that film. I can watch those 3 Undisputed movies over and over. Yeah, but Undisputed 3 definitely my pick of that particular franchise.
It's a cracking film. I've only ever seen it once. I think I've only ever seen all those films once. Maybe the first one was the one with Ving Rhames, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that one a couple of times. Yeah. So obviously my first one was Green Street 3, so I'll move on to another one. So I'm going to do this one now because I know you're just going to laugh at me again, much like Green Street 3. It's the intergalactic adventures of Max Cloud. Now, when we talk about the comedy side of what Scott Adkins can do, he's still got the punchy, kicky chops in that movie, but it's also very funny. I'm a gamer. I love games. I'm a nerd. And I love seeing Scott Adkins play a kind of like PC version character of himself, which I just loved it. I love that movie, and I don't care who knows it.
I'll be honest, I've seen that movie. Can I remember a single thing about it? No. I don't know what. I've seen it, but I couldn't tell you. It's one of the few Adkins films that I think it's like that and another one you got on your list. I can't remember a single thing about them. I don't know if they were in the middle of a massive stream of movies that, you know, and it got lost in the thing. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
When Max Cloud came out, he did kind of churn out 3 or 4 at the same time. So you could be right. And it didn't come out to much fanfare, but I was just a big fan of it. I thought it was brilliant. He played like a computer game character. And then you had Tommy Flanagan from Sons of Anarchy playing the bad guy. So
yeah, I'll say I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it to try and remember if I liked it or not.
So next up for you.
For me, again, I think I'm going in date order. Assassination Games. Scott Adkins, Jean-Claude Van Damme, same movie. What's not to like? Do you know what I mean?
It's a match made in heaven.
Pretty much. You know, stick Adkins with any. Well, I would say with anyone, but probably would really show up Steven Seagal these days. Can you imagine that?
I don't think there's any probably about that one.
Steven Seagal stood there doing his little hand flippers, and Scott Adkins is flying around the room. Assassination Games. I mean, like you say, match made in heaven. 2. You know, the king of what you would have said was the director VHS/DVD, and the king of what I would call now the king of action movie streaming together in one film is just. I mean, I absolutely love that movie. I also think my top 10 might also be in actual top 5. Sorry, might actually be in actual top 5 order. I've just realised as well. Date order and in the order I like it in. I've just realised that. Yeah.
Nice. So moving on to my next one, and this one, it's not necessarily up there as one of the great Scott Adkins movies, but I was a fan of this for the feat that it took to make, and it's called One Shot. Basically, the whole movie's like done in one take. it says one take, but even in my review, in my review at the time, I was kind of like, I'm calling a little bit of shenanigans here, because if they did that in one take, that is mental. But there are clear moments where it's like, no, you've cut there, you've cut there. But in terms of the actual movie, I really enjoyed it. The only thing is, because they're doing it in this one take format, it kind of waters down the action a little bit, because there's only so much you can do if you're going to be kicking and punching for a good hour and a half. Yeah, but I was a big fan of it, and I believe it's James Nunn who directed, and we all love a bit of James Nunn. So,
well, I have to hold my hand up and say I really love James Nunn, because he put my name on the end of a movie.
Just name dropping all over tonight, isn't we?
Yeah, well, you know, he was he put my special thanks to me on the end of a movie, Phil Wheaton early at the end of a movie. So I can't. But yeah, the good thing about one shot, I think the whole premise of doing it in one shot got them a lot of publicity.
Yeah.
That I think pushed it to more people than would normally have, even if it was a little bit of a sly bit of editing here and there. But yeah, that whole concept of a single shot movie, I think it did get them. They went a little bit viral, I think, really, with that.
It did at the time, yeah. Yeah. So what you got next?
See, this is the film that basically Eliminators. It's Scott Adkins' Eliminators. It's a weird one because there's two films that are very similar, and I can't remember what the other film is, but I know Eliminators is the Scott Adkins one. It's the one that's got Stu Bennett in from wrestler, Wade Barrett.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of these ones. It's another James Nunn movie. What are you going to do?
Well, yeah.
It's essentially a sort of revenge movie. His the family get killed by accident because somebody invade. They come in his house by accident, kill his family, gets revenge. Simple plot, but when you've got Scott Adkins kicking people's asses, shooting people in the head, you don't need a massive plot. You just need a massive amount of action.
Exactly. I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I'm not 100% certain I've seen Eliminators, so I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, 2016. So it was made. Yeah, it was 2016, and then James Nunn made the two Marine movies, and then it was one shot. So it kind of Marine movies are squeezed in the middle. Yeah,
right. I'm going to check that out.
There's a film very similar to it. I can't remember what it's called now, but it came out around the same time. But Eliminators is the better option, and Scott Adkins.
That's really good, Stu Bennett.
Oh yeah, Stu Bennett. Yeah. He's one of the wrestlers where he's got the skill set, but his accent really works in action movies. It really does. The British accent works to make him seem like an absolute badass, which what you always want in an action movie. It's why I think the I Am Vengeance he's in the lead of them two movies. They're both great, but yeah. So Stu Bennett, Scott Adkins, James Nunn, trifecta of awesomeness. Yeah.
Shout out to Lost Boy Ask on I Am Vengeance.
Yeah.
So my next one, I'm going to go with this one because the last one that I've got, I think we've both got. So my next one is Avengement. And now when you talk about your absolute favorite Scott Adkins movies, I think this is my favorite Scott Adkins. He's got an amazing body of work, as we both know, but I just thought Avengement was so utterly different to pretty much anything I've really seen him do. Just the straight up madcap killer kind of vibe. I just loved him in that movie. It was a great movie. James Nunn? No, Jesse Johnson.
Jesse Johnson.
Yeah, we love a bit of Jesse Johnson around here. And I genuinely, for me, Avengement is my favourite Scott Adkins film because he just walks out the prison And then right the way through to the end credits, the movie doesn't really stop. It just constantly batters you around the head, and I loved it.
Interestingly, I'm literally clicking on IMDb as we're talking about this. Stu Small, that wrote Avengement, has pretty much written 3 out of the 3 out of our top, 3 out of the 10 that we've picked.
Nice.
Accident Man 2, Avengement, and then obviously the one that we've both picked randomly, Debt Collector 2, or Debt Collectors, when you want to call it.
Yeah, is it 2? Is it a reboot? Is it, what is it? It's definitely a sequel. Just an amazing film. Amazing film.
I will always say that I love, despite Scott Adkins in it, but Louis, how do you pronounce his name? Is it Mandalore? Louis Mandalore?
Yeah, Louis Mandalore.
I've loved him since he was in the Sammo Hung TV show Martial Law.
Yeah.
That was one of the first times I ever saw him work, and I think he's one of the most underrated guys that's sort of churning away. But he always does, like I say, the Debt Collectors, both movies, he's kind of off the wall, a little off kilter, He always brings something to every character that he does. Mm-hmm. And the pair of them together are just, it's kind of, I always think that more than the first film, this one films there's a bit more fun to the sequel, I think. A bit more, which makes it, the first film's great, but the second film, I think, is there's a lot more fun to it, a lot more fun factor, a lot more sort of comedy, and the interplay between the two, I think, works even better in the second one.
Yeah. Oh, the chemistry is wonderful on the two of them. Like, even from that very start with the bar fight, when he's sitting there and he's talking about Queen Elizabeth and all this, and you just see him looking onwards, like, over, like, this is going to go south, and it's just like these two are just made to be in movies together.
Yeah.
Like, almost the Mel Gibson, Danny Glover effect.
Yeah. Again, another series I'd love to see keep going. You know what I mean? There was I think there's a bit of a gap between the first and the second film, but same with Accident Man and 1 and 2, there's a bit of a gap there. But another series I'd love to see him carry on with. You can do all them two together. You could probably throw them into any sort of situation.
So that was my 5, and do you have anything left, or?
No, that's it. It was I put in Debt Collector 2 and then Accident Man 2, which we've already covered. So yeah, I think.
So yeah, that's our Adkins top 5. I was hoping we might get 10 films, but we kind of just doubled up.
Yeah, we got what? There's. I mean, you could list. Atkins has got a hell of a CV. I mean, there's some stuff that I still haven't seen. Like these, he played like it was like a Russian movie or something, or where he played like a weird soldier for 5. I haven't seen that one yet, and there's all sorts of weird little things. I mean, he's in John Wick 4 as well, isn't he? He's
upcoming John Wick 4, yeah.
I'm sure that's how he's financing his movies. He's like turns up in a Marvel movie, gets the paycheck for doing that, turns up in John Wick, gets paycheck, puts that into working with. It must be how he does it. It must be.
Probably, but I mean, and it's working for him because it means he gets to make his big bag, and then he gets to come back and make the stuff he wants to make and really get into it, and we get more Accident Man movies. So long may that continue, and the invite is always extended should he ever want to come on the podcast or ever want to come on the show. I would love to sit and shoot the breeze with that man. Check out Accident Man 2. It just came out recently. It's absolutely fantastic. Please do check it out. Obviously, John Wick 4 is incoming, or is it? It's not hit the cinema yet, has it?
No. I think it's just first trailer came out recently, didn't it? I think.
Yeah, let's drop the talking Adkins and let's move into some talking wrestling, which I believe will probably be a nice and quick section. I mean, honestly, all I've really got to talk about is Soft Pro, so that's.
Well, let's just say that reading your Soft Pro review, that show was probably better than anything that's been put out this week. This week has been it's been a shocker, I think, for everyone. It's been some abysmal. It's been squash match after squash match after squash match on pretty much every promotion. Let's say every. The two big ones, AEW, WWE. It's been they've not put out good stuff this week at all.
been strange. It definitely has.
The only interesting thing about AEW is I heard a rumor via a billion wrestling websites that tonight on Dynamite, well, as we're recording this on a Wednesday, tonight on Dynamite in America, they may or may not announce a UK show.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. It's coming over to the O2 Arena.
Yeah, well, there's talk that it's. I've heard people talking it's like Manchester, London, February, April. You know, it's all. But apparently they're supposed to. And if that happens, I've already said to my wife, which is when AEW first started, we are getting front row seats. If there's a meet and greet that costs £1,000, we're getting that.
Yeah.
I'm paying the money. I want to take one of those seats home with me. That's how much you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that happens, I mean, we did that with Impact years ago. Absolutely years ago. The Impact came to the UK, and me and the wife, we met Hernandez, the Pope, Samoa Joe,
nice.
A lot of the women, the beautiful people. I've got a picture of me stood with the TNA belt with Dixie Carter. If I can get anything like that with AEW, I'm there.
Talk about the glory years. Dixie Carter. And on Impact,
see, Impact.
I'm a fan of Impact. You know I'm a fan. I love Impact probably more than I love any other promotion. But I'm a little bit worried about some of the stuff that's going on.
Impact's had a great run, but I think they kind of recently they seem to have plateaued. The wrestling, top notch. I mean,
always.
When Speedball Bailey came in, I was like, you know, he seemed to me to be a bit too clean cut, a bit too out of place, but he's delivered banger after banger of match, and everyone stepped up for those X Division matches. But yeah, I mean, I've even heard wrestlers say that, you know, they need to up everything. They're kind of, they need to stop. I mean, a lot of the people say that a lot of the issues with Impact is the multiple tapings they do after a pay-per-view. They tape like a whole bunch of shows in the same town they just had the pay-per-view. So nobody turns up because they've just paid to watch pay-per-view. So they struggle with an audience then, and then production. For me, the production value needs to go up. I mean, it surely can't be that tricky. I don't know the production value, but you know, we've produced. I've seen some like Progress and stuff that have produced matches that look better than Impact sometimes, and they're just filmed in halls in bloody middle of nowhere. But yeah, and then like I say, what's happened recently? I don't get the whole. I'll say it now. I do not get the whole Bully Ray coming back thing. I don't get it.
It just doesn't. There was a couple of things that happened there as well, like Bully Ray coming back and winning the Koya shot.
Yeah,
winning that. Bully Ray doesn't need to win that to be in any kind of picture. Like, he just needs to come back. So that was like a missed opportunity, and it should have been Macklin. 100% that should have been Macklin. And then you've got, because we know I'm a big fan of Macklin. I can see you smiling. And then of course you've got the Kazarian taking the X Division off Speedball just to option C it the next night. Like, because again, Kazarian doesn't need option C to be in any kind of picture.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with Kazarian because he just had a match on Dark against Zach Clayton, which he's like a reality star turned wrestler.
Right.
That match was terrible. That match was bad. I mean, I don't know whether it's because Clayton couldn't hang with Kazarian or there was, you know, it should have been a squash match and it wasn't. It was an actual match. It was just not a good match. So I don't know what. Yeah. Again, it's a very weird situation with the whole Kaz coming back and doing, you know. But I think it all comes down to something I said quite a while ago. There is no one in that company that can take that title off Josh Alexander legitimately.
No, it's not really.
That's what they've struggled with. They haven't built any. They built him up so much that, apart from Moose, and who wants to see that again and again and again? You know, I don't think they'd ever put it on. I mean, I know you like your boy Macklin, but I think.
Hey.
No, I think he's got a long way to go before they even consider putting it on him.
No, I agree. I do agree.
He's got feuds galore to go through before they'd ever. But yeah, so I think that's what their issue is. They're struggling to find legitimate big name competition for Alexander, which is why you've got Kaz, which is why you got Bully Ray. But between that and the fact that talent are leaving, you've got to admit that talent are going.
I mean, come on, I'm sitting watching Raw and fucking Mia Yim comes out. What was that all about?
Yeah, she lost to Mickie James on that last rodeo thing, and that was it. Apparently, that was their last match.
You just brought her in and you're building her and she's doing well, and like I was loving seeing Mia Yim on Impact. I was. And then, like I say, like, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks before the Good Brothers come walking out, and I'm like, you bastards. And then, like, 2 or 3 weeks later, Mia Yim comes out, and I'm like, you bastard. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy for them. They're going to get a push. I love it. I love seeing that kind of thing, but it was nice having them on Impact.
I mean, the one plus for me on Impact, besides some great... The X Division, I will not dispute that's been cracking.
Oh, just on fire.
They've gone back to that top tier stuff they used to do years ago. But I am awesomely happy that Alan Angels has turned up from AEW. I mean, if he's, I've not actually heard whether he's got a full contract or anything, but the fact that he's in Violent by Design, you would think, he's been signed. But yeah, the man, I've seen the man's indie stuff, that even the stuff he's just in between Impact and AEW, and he's put on some amazing matches if they can do that on Impact. But yeah, some of the decisions they're having at the minute, a little bit iffy.
The one decision they have absolutely nailed, the digital media champion. It's so amazing to see Joe Hendry on there. From all his ICW days and all that palaver, just cutting around on the circuit. Seeing Joe Hendry in an Impact ring just makes me happy.
What's really weird is, let's just drop stuff again. Years ago, I went to a wrestling event. They literally did Impact versus the UK.
Right.
And Hendry was in on the UK side, and he got booed out of the building. But since then, obviously now he's getting the work he's put in to sort of change. Because I think originally that kind of whole singing happy-go-lucky thing was, people just didn't get it. But now it's become sort of ironic. And people get it now. But yeah, he's gone from it's as long as it's not bloody. I was sick and tired of Brian Myers with that digital term. I really was. But I got a sinking feeling that Myers and Cardona are going back to WWE.
Yeah, Cardona's already kind of said that, hasn't he?
Chelsea Green's gone, and she's already gone.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's Tennille Dashwood as well. Jesus Christ.
She's back. This week's NXT. The show was some good. Apollo Crews pulled off a fantastic match against JD McDonough, which what was his? I can't remember what his old name was in NXT UK. But anyway, Zoe Starks, whatever the hell he lit under her arse when she's been away and she's come back, she delivered one hell of a promo. If he can build, I mean, bringing women back to the main roster, but he's got a few women in NXT that I think will easily, now with him in control, move up and do really well. I mean, that promo from Zoe Starks is probably one of the best that I've seen on NXT since, from a woman anyway, since like the Black and Gold era, I think. It was a hell of a promo. Better than a lot of the wrestling on the show. It's a weird one. The landscape's changing. I mean, you've got AEW is now working with, what is it, 3 Japanese promotions they got on the go now? Which is good because we get my new favorite wrestler, Takeshita,
right?
Who did a little what they call it, is it like a learning trip to America? He went back and he's coming. I think he's back on Dynamite. Is it tonight or is it Rampage? One or the other. Yeah, they're working with like 3 promotions. I mean, if WWE work with New Japan, if you don't know, but there's a one good, despite I would say the wrestling this week being a bit poor. The one thing you can say is the entire of the wrestling landscape. It's kind of you don't know. It's just who knows. Is Sasha Banks going to turn up on AEW tonight? That's a question.
No, she's going to
apparently she's just trademarked a whole bunch of names.
She's going to turn up at Heavy as the Head in February for Sovereign Pro Wrestling.
Is it? Well, yeah, she's trademarked Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
Monet talks and so who knows? But anyway, as you've mentioned them, let's get on to the Soft Pro stuff.
Yeah, before we move on to the Talking Quickies, just a quick mention to the new upstart British company out there, which is Sovereign Pro Wrestling, had their first event, which was First Reign. This is the brainchild of one battle rapper, Shotty Horror, who I've just been a massive fan of since forever. Since I even figured out what battle rap was, but now he's stepped into the wrestling landscape, and I think that first show was, for a first show with a lot of people that I didn't necessarily know who everyone was, they had an absolute banger of a show.
Yeah, and I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot because it was literally down the road from me. I could have been there. I had no idea. It's kind of the downside to running a site. I spend that much time concentrating on it that I don't I miss some of the wider picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, to find out there's a promotion just down the road. I mean, I might have to. I'm still debating whether to come to this the second show or not. I mean.
Well, I've booked my ticket for February, Heavy as the Head. I've got a couple of pals who were at the first show. Luckily, they are right on the hard camera, so you can actually see them pretty much the whole show. See their little emotional faces when Kid Bandit won. Oh, bless them. And then, of course, What Culture's own Simon Miller was there as well, and he was pretty awesome. They built him up for a main event feud, which is just great to see him doing something. We like a bit of Simon Miller. I think he's all right. Mixing up those downs. But I thought the show was brilliant. I'm going to be going in February. I'm looking forward to that. And you can watch the show on YouTube. Now, a little bit annoyed because I did pay for the Vimeo link. But, you've got to support. But, yeah, man, some of the wrestling on that show was just a cut above. And I'm sort of just like, I've never really heard of some of these people. Like Kid Bandit, I had no idea who Kid Bandit was. And when they came out to that pop, like, for a show that's like just starting out, this is their first show. There's not 1,000 people there. There's maybe 200 at most. As you were saying before, it's in a little sports hall. And it's just like, yeah, that's a superstar right there. First night. And I think a lot of people got that pop. And I quite look forward to seeing what Soft Pro Wrestling does going forward. And, of course, just like Scott Adkins, Shotty Horror, I would love to sit and shoot the shit with you. So get yourself on the show. So will you be checking out the show?
Yeah, I mean, I've been away. Or like I said to you the way I've been away. So I've not actually trying to catch up with the... Luckily, I will be able to watch it on YouTube for free, though.
Fucking bastard.
Yeah, I will be checking it out. I mean, I've got zero plans this weekend, so it's probably going to be on the list to watch. But yeah, I mean, from what you wrote about it and what you've been speaking about, it sounds fantastic. I mean, I'm not a big fan of going to Manchester in the middle of the night, but I might have to. I really don't. I work in Manchester. I don't like going to Manchester when it's dark. I just don't like the place in the dark.
Well, the show in February starts at like 3 in the afternoon and finishes at like 9, so that's not dark. Well, actually,
that's not
right now it does get dark at like 4 o'clock right now.
That's not too bad, but yeah, I might have to investigate some tickets. Might have to join you. Although I'm getting front row. I'm not sitting on that second row that you've got. I'm getting front row. I want to get kicked in the face by accident.
I know. Like,
if somebody goes flying over, get smacked in the face. I want that.
I was booking my ticket and I text the lads and I'm like, so where are you sitting? And they're like, oh, we're in the second row. I'm like, why?
Yeah, first row all the way.
I want to slap Simon Miller on the head and say, here's why.
yeah.
I think he'd love that. But yeah, so that is Salt Pro, which Heavy as the Head is coming, and Scotty Too Hotty's going to be there. They've announced Scotty Too Hotty.
Where's he been hiding?
I don't know, but it's Scotty Too Hotty. If he does the worm, that's the price of admission alone.
True.
If I get to see WORM in that ring, I'm just going to be like, you know what? Take another £30. Right. Let's get into some talking quickies, which, as I said earlier, is literally just a quick fire section in which we are going to be talking a little bit about some movies or TV shows or any games or anything like that we've watched recently or played recently. So let's get into talking quickies. Where would you like to start, Phil?
I'll start with something that's not on my list, actually. We've just caned. You know of Alex Horn, Taskmaster?
The TV show?
Yeah. Greg's little Alex, the assistant.
All right, okay.
He's just put out a new Horn section show, which on paper it's like, oh, Alex Horn does a chat show from his house. It's not. He's written this sort of meta, sort of fourth wall breaking sitcom about Alex Horn hosting a chat show from his house, but it's got like it's got comedians in it not playing themselves, they're playing characters, but then it's got guests that are themselves, and Greg Davies turns up and he's a tyrannical maniac, and we ended up watching the whole thing. I mean, it's not, I think about 6 episodes. We watched the whole thing in one sitting. It was just it looked, the trailer made it look funny, but it was ridiculous. I mean, I wasn't expecting a sitcom, really. No one expected from, even from the trailer, you didn't expect a sitcom, but crazy. But yeah, it starts out as a peek behind the wall of Taskmaster, the first episode. Right. But yeah, and fantastic little show. I think it's on all 4, I think. Yeah, nice. All 4.
Nice. See, they can make good stuff when they try. Talking about bonkers and off the wall, did you see the Weird Al Yankovic film?
No, I that came out literally. We were away, and I was like, I'm going to watch it, and it's just literally slipped past me. I need to check it out.
For me, it's an absolute WTF movie. It's like, it starts off like, it's crazy. Like, Radcliffe is fantastic in it. He's fantastic in it. Of course he is, because he's always good since Harry Potter. I mean, Guns Akimbo was just a truly, truly wonderful slice of fried gold. But yeah, this movie, like, you kind of think it's going to be the story of Weird Al Yankovic, and it kind of is, but it also very much isn't. And it just gets nuts. Like, at one point, the wife was watching it with me, and she genuinely, we watched Airplane together one time, and she didn't laugh a single time. So, like, comedy's not necessarily her thing, unless it's got, like, Matthew McConaughey in it. And so we're sitting watching this Weird Al movie. She doesn't know who Weird Al is for a start, so that's like, she's already on the back foot. And she's not laughing, but at one point she turned around and she was like, "What are you actually watching?" And my honest answer was, I don't know. I really don't know. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's on the to watch pile list, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm hopefully it's still available, because was it just on the Roku? You could watch it on the RokuChannel.com on the launch day, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's still on there. I don't know if they've taken it down by now, but
and it's good. It's very good. Cameos galore. Anything else?
Yeah. Let's get to the last few movies I've watched. I've been slacking a little bit for a while, but I think I've done like half a dozen movies in the past 2 weeks. But yeah, last few. This is a weird one. I watched a film called Moonchild, which is a 1990s shot-on-video horror movie from a guy called Todd Sheets. Now, I actually walked out of a Todd Sheets film. We went to Florida to MegaCon, and they were showing one of his films in the little room, and I started watching Bone Hill Road, and I watched it. It was terrible. I walked out, but I'm a sucker for. It's got on a new Blu-ray label called Visual Vengeance, and I'm a sucker for like giving these new labels a try and sort of end up being complete sometimes. So I picked it up. I thought it was Todd Sheets. I'm probably not going to like it, but turns out really liked it.
Nice.
It's essentially about a guy that is put in a super soldier program where they fuse werewolf DNA with human DNA.
I'm already in.
And he escapes. The first time he escapes, they kill his wife, kidnap his kid. He escapes again, but he's got a bomb in his intestines. He's trying to find his kid. He teams up with these these kind of rebels against. There's a cannibal clan. There's this guy who's running bounty hunters. There's the guy that's got his son. But I mean, it's amateur acting because it's all shot on video with like a bunch of amateurs. But for a movie that's probably shot on like for a couple of $100, they've got massive car chases and stunts and all sorts. The werewolf transformation happens twice. That's it. It once at the beginning, he sort of almost transforms. There's a bit of a grizzly face, and obviously wearing a mask. And at the end, it even cranks out a like early 90s digital morphing effect, turning him into a werewolf, and there's a big battle at the end, and saves his son, saves the day. But yeah, I did not expect, Todd Sheets. I was like, last time I watched a Todd Sheets film, I walked out of it, but I don't normally like shot on video stuff either, but this was just on the right side of a bit bonkers, I think, to keep me watching.
Right. Cool.
Reminded me a lot of like the Italian post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max, Escape from New York knockoffs.
Nice.
It was like those, but obviously shot in America for like 10 pence.
10 pence.
It is really low budget, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad. It took the Blu-ray like 2 months to get here, but I'm glad I got it. Yeah, ridiculous, but yeah, that's. I think you can get it on streaming as well now. So if you really want to check it out, you don't have to fuck off the Blu-ray anymore.
Everybody should check it out. It sounds awesome. You had me at Super Soldier, Werewolf, and Human Blood. I was there. I almost felt like I'd already seen it. Probably. One of the things I checked out recently is every now and then I like to dip into Legends catalog, and a new movie that has just come out with the great Mel Gibson is On the Line, which on paper sounded exactly like the kind of movie that I love. Mel Gibson, peak Mel Gibson for me. It's got shades of Ransom. Remember Ransom? I loved Ransom. It's got shades of that, and in this he plays like a radio presenter. Goes in one night, and the place ends up getting held up. Sort of. This guy kind of calls in, and he's like, "I've got your wife and kid, and I'm going to kill them unless you do everything I say." And that is the movie in a nutshell. I don't want to go too much more into it because there's not much more to it. That is just the story, and it goes on and it goes on. But the problem is the ending. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I watched 2 movies in the last couple of weeks that it really felt like they just didn't know how to end it. So it goes on a little bit too long, and they give you like quite an unsatisfying ending, to be honest. I loved the film though. I thought Mel Gibson was wonderful in it. There's a kid in it called Paul Spira. I want to see more with this kid in it because he's exceptional. Like I say kid, he's about 25 or something. But he is exceptional in this film, and I want to see more of him. But yeah, if you get a chance to watch On the Line, I'm not going to say it's one you should absolutely run out and watch because that ending, but it's worth your time.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen some Yeah, a friend of mine, Jim, reviewed it. I haven't read his review yet, but yeah, it's kind of. I haven't watched a Mel Gibson movie in what feels like forever.
Mm.
I know I didn't even watch that. What was that? There was that Santa, that Christmas one that he was. Was it Christmas one?
Oh, Fat Man.
I didn't even watch that yet. I haven't watched a Mel Gibson movie in forever.
Fat Man was great. Interviewed them, by the way. You know, you can drop names, I can drop names. But no, it's kind of like peak Mel Gibson.
Well, speaking of legends, one of the films I've just literally, I think, watched it yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day before? Detective Night Rogue. Another Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah.
Direct to streaming DVD. Well, who knows what it was direct to.
They're gonna try and make a franchise out of this, aren't they?
The second one's already been announced, and apparently it's coming out for Christmas, and then the third one's coming out in the new year.
For Christmas?
Yeah, because the first one's set in Halloween, the second one's set at Christmas, so the third one's set in spring, Easter. I don't know.
Wow.
It's very tenuous set at Halloween. Really tenuous. It's like, oh, someone says Happy Halloween at one point. Otherwise, you won't be able to tell. It's not like they go and pick up some masks, werewolves again. But yeah, it's Willis being Willis. It's like Rogue Cop. Willis does Rogue Cop again. It's from Corey Large and Edward Drake, who made Breach, aka Anti-Life, Cosmic Sin, was it American Siege, and that, right, which were all pretty much terrible movies. But it looks like someone's given them a budget to make something better. The Edward Drake that directed Anti-Life and Cosmic Sin Cosmic Sin was probably the best of those, the previous four. But the guy that's directed this movie feels like a different person. They've got a decent editor on board. You can clearly tell that because the editing is fantastic. They've had more time, more budget. I think because it's been planned as a trilogy, they probably saved time filming it together.
Yeah,
is why it feels like they've had more budget. But yeah, it's not like must watch, but it's a good little. I will be tuning in for the sequel. I don't know how they're going to do the sequel because the end of the movie does not set up a sequel. So
I kind of feel like Bruce Willis doesn't really care how they set a sequel up. He's just going to be there and cash his check.
Well, this is obviously because he's got his health issues, isn't it? That's why he's doing all these movies. But it's the first Willis film in a long time where he's in the film a lot, rather than he's 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, beginning and end sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a brief period in the middle where they concentrate on the bad guys, and the guy, he's got a partner, French actor, black actor, can't remember what it's called, which is going to kill me. He's his partner. So there's a little bit of him talking to his boss, whether Willis is, dirty and what have you. But for the most part, Willis is in the entire film. He's in the opening with Lachlan Monroe, he's the one who's not in the film a lot. He gets shot in the beginning, and that's it. And then he turns up at the end in a hospital bed.
But it's Lachlan Monroe. He's awesome.
Yeah, but he does the Willis part, the beginning and end, isn't it? But yeah, it's probably the best one that like I said, Edward Drake and Corey Large have done with Willis. It's not to set the world on fire, but I'll watch the sequel. We'll see how the sequel goes. It looks like there's an arc to it, because I think this first one's called Detective Night: Rogue, and then the next one's Detective Night: Redemption. So I'm guessing he's going to redeem himself from everyone thinking he's dirty, and he basically one of these shoot first, ask questions later type cops. It was all right. Like I say, best that they've done in out of the. Or I think it's what they're on. Is that the fifth movie they've done together? So it'll be like 8 altogether, I think. But yeah, it was good. More, for a Willis direct-to-market film, it's probably one of his better ones, I think.
Well, from a Bruce Willis movie that he's actually in a fair bit, I also watched a Bruce Willis movie which recently came out called Paradise City. He's on the poster alongside John Travolta, and guess what? Neither of them are in the movie all that much. It
The trailer,
is
I've seen the trailer for that Paradise City. It looks like Willis is in it a load.
no, he's not in it a great deal. To be fair, he's in the very start, and spoiler alert for a movie nobody's going to watch, by the way. But spoiler alert, he dies at the very start, and then we see him in flashback form. And the funny thing about this is that you've got Bruce Willis and John Travolta on the poster, and poor Stephen Dorff is nowhere to be seen on the poster, and he is the main character in the movie. Like, he's the main character of the movie, and he's nowhere to be seen on the poster. It makes no sense, but I guess when you've got those two on board, you've got to do that. I ain't going to talk about the movie for too long because honestly, I don't think anybody should really check it out.
See, you've just saved me. I was literally going to rent it on iTunes, so you've just saved me money.
It ain't much. It's not up to much. Even just the whole concept of the film was just crap. But yeah, it's another one of those. Like, yeah, I think he plays a bounty hunter in this one. Travolta's the bad guy because Travolta plays bad guys well nowadays. And Stephen Dorff is the guy that you wish was on the poster but isn't.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, but Stephen Dorff has his fans. He has a fan base.
Exactly. Like, I didn't know Stephen Dorff was in the movie because I didn't bother checking IMDb. And then when I saw Stephen Dorff, I was like, holy shit, Stephen Dorff. Like, that to me was a win.
I honestly don't even think he's listed in the cast on iTunes, I don't think.
That's
There's a little thing at the bottom. I'm sure it's just like Bruce Willis, Travolta, and then some other people. I don't even think
to be fair, he might have requested that. You know how some people say, like, don't credit me for this movie? That's maybe what
to Tosh. Yeah.
Credit me as Alan Smithy, is it?
Yeah.
Right. You got anything else?
Actually, I want to ask you about one of the other ones on your list because it's another one we were thinking of checking out on iTunes. Bar Fight.
Yeah. Very good, really good. However, just didn't need the ending. I think for a romantic comedy, it's not a romantic comedy like you've seen before. Like, it really goes down a different path, which I loved. Like, it really does. But it's written by the guy that made, was it Gatlock? Remember that one a couple of months back?
Yeah, rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. But he wrote that, but he's directing this. What's her name from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is excellent in it. And
she looked good in the trailer. Yeah.
I don't like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And of all the characters in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, she's probably my least favorite. But in this,
I guess you won't watch that Blockbuster TV show then. That she's
I am
in.
not watching.
That she's in with what's his name? The Chinese guy that's in Young Rock.
Randall Park.
Yeah, I mean, Blockbuster is. We started watching that, and it's just Brooklyn Nine-Nine set in Blockbuster.
Yeah. My daughter wants me to watch it with her. And I'm just sitting there thinking, well, you're a 14-year-old. You've got no idea what video shop culture was. And this is probably written by a bunch of 18-year-olds who have no idea what video shop culture is. And they just want to put a dose of Brooklyn Nine-Nine jokes in there.
Well, yeah.
But
it does go downhill after episode 2, yeah.
But she's excellent in Bar Fight. That was my biggest takeaway. But it's more like, remember Waiting with Ryan Reynolds?
One of my and my wife's favourite movies, yeah.
It's got that kind of vibe to it.
Cool. Oh, well, there you go. That sold me on that one then, yeah. If it's got a Waiting vibe, then yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times me and my wife have watched that film over the years. It's a wonderful
film. But I just kind of thought the ending was like, I didn't need it. But
You've got a thing with endings this week, haven't you?
It sort of ends in a sort of perfect moment, and it's neither a happy moment or a sad moment. It's just a moment, and I was like, that's the perfect way to end this movie because it is what this movie is about. And then he's like, but you know. You'll probably love it. You'll be like, oh, I love that ending. Kev's a fucking idiot. So you got anything else? But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah. One film I was super excited to see, Confess Fletch, the new Fletch movie
John
with
Hamm.
John Hamm. I'm a massive fan of Fletch and Fletch Lives from the 80s, the Chevy Chase movies. You know, I was super excited. I mean, years ago, Kevin Smith was going to do one with Jason Lee. Studios wouldn't back Jason Lee as Fletch. Why? So we got John Hamm. Essentially, it's a weird film. It's weird. It's like it's got characters in there that are quirky and off the wall. Simply to me feels like, let's make it a bit like Knives Out, where everyone's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But then you've got John Hamm playing Fletch, but his version of Fletch feels like it was written for Chevy Chase. And they've gone, oh, John, can you just do this? He's got the charisma, but he doesn't have. He doesn't. I mean, I loved him in what was it, Tag? It was great. That film, you know, that's a comedy film. He was great in that, but his comedy timing is not there at all. It feels like he needed a comedian to be able to sort of riff on stuff. He seems a bit stiff when he's trying to, like, he comes across a dead body, and all I could think of was how Chevy Chase would have approached that scene, and John Hamm's like, "Oh, did you ring it? Yeah, there's a dead body. Yeah, it's on the floor." You know, there's no. It's a little bit. I'm not whether they were going for deadpan. I don't know, but it just.
Yeah, he's almost too cool for school.
Yeah, it didn't work. I mean, he's got the charisma. I'll give him that. He got the charisma, but yeah, I know it was based more on a book, the second book in the series apparently. But yeah, it just John Hamm didn't work as Fletch at all. Yeah, like I say, I just kept thinking. I know Chevy Chase is very problematic these days, but he just kept thinking this would have been better with. I mean, it would have been better with any a comedian in the role, really.
Yeah.
Well, not Will Ferrell, but
nothing's better with Will Ferrell.
No, but yeah, John Hamm was good, but no, he needed the comic chops to really pull off the kind of quirky nature that Fletch is.
Yeah.
Which is weird because that film's now going to British cinemas. It's British cinemas this Friday the 18th of November.
Is it?
It's streaming everywhere else, but it's going into British cinemas this weekend.
Oh,
weird.
Nice. I like a bit of John Hamm though, so I might give that a watch at some point, but it's not one I was going to rush to.
No, I rushed to it because I love Fletch. I mean, those movies. My wife doesn't get the Fletch at all. She doesn't get the jokes. But I mean, I'm a kid of the '80s, so
yeah.
Fletch is my. Fletch was I think it was on TV. Fletch and Fletch was on TV. I think every other Christmas. I think when I was growing up.
Now we just get Jurassic Park 3. So I'm gonna end my talking quickies with 3-Day Millionaire, which is a movie that is very low budget, set in Grimsby, so it wins already. And it's, I believe, Giles Alderson, who is a friend of the show and Filmmakers Podcast, which is on the website. He produced this, so he's got a producer's credit on this. It's just a great little film that is centered around a town that has characters that live in it, which sounds like any film or any TV show or anything like that, but it's all about the area and the people that live there.
Yeah.
And I really, really love movies like that. Like, that Fisherman's Friend. It's not one I'm going to rush out to see, but I can tell what kind of movie it is.
Yeah.
Purely built, stuff like that. And I really, really enjoyed this movie because of two reasons. Now, Colm Meaney's in it, and Colm Meaney's awesome in everything he does.
True.
We do love him. But you also have, let's see what their names were again. You got James Burrows, who plays a character called Curly Dean, and you've got Michael Kinsey, who plays a character called Codge. Now, I don't think off the top of my head that I've seen these guys in anything else, but they are absolutely brilliant in this film. Like, they just smash this movie out the park. And I believe, from my personal point of view, they've elevated this story and this script just by just being awesome. But 3-Day Millionaire, it's about a group of guys who work on a tugboat, which is like a thing in Grimsby, apparently. I don't know. But they come home, but because they've been on the tugboat for the last 3 months, they've not been able to spend their wages. So when they do come home for the weekend, they've got loads of money, hence 3-Day Millionaire. But they realise that some shenanigans is happening and the tugboat business is maybe going to go under, and they decide that they're going to steal from their boss to save the day. And shenanigans. So, yeah. But yeah, 3-Day Millionaire, if you get a chance to see it, I absolutely recommend it. I do have a video review sat waiting to go. I'm just waiting because I think it comes out properly next week or the week after. It's a signature release. But yeah, check out 3-Day Millionaire. It's a great little thing.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like one of your films.
100%. 100%. It's just good performances. And the thing is, like, I'm not a huge fan of people who or movies where the main character's talking to the camera. Like, I think you've got to be a certain kind of actor to really pull that off and pull it off well. Like, your Michael Caine's, he can do it because he does it in almost everything. Yeah. But this kid, James Burrows, just from the second that he jumps out of his bunk bed and he talks to the camera, I was just like, this kid's awesome. He just nailed it, and that for me was a big thing. So, yeah. But yeah, it's 100%. It's my kind of movie. So, what else you got?
My last one is, now, sounds weird. It is weird. The Cult of Humpty Dumpty.
Nice.
It's from the makers of the now viral Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey that's coming out.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
They've been Winnie the Pooh's like gone viral, but they did a Humpty Dumpty movie. They've done a Jack and Jill movie.
Right.
So I watched the first Humpty Dumpty movie was it last year? That was The Curse of Humpty Dumpty, which was a low budget horror, but it was fantastic because you never knew through the entire thing whether the lead actress was seeing this killer Humpty Dumpty or she had dementia.
Oh.
It was kind of a little like metaphor for dementia and stuff. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Nicola Wright, actress in the lead role. She's been in a ton of stuff over the years, and she really smashed it. Brilliant film, and it was kind of. They said there was a sequel coming. I was like, well, they can play up this angle of is it real, is it not? Is it in people's heads? No. This cult of Humpty Dumpty, they just throw that all out the window completely. And it turns out that Humpty Dumpty got destroyed. They put him back together.
Nice.
And there's a cult that worships him and they sacrifice young virgin women to him because he then grows stronger. They can tear out his heart and get the power for himself.
Okay.
The only plus side to the entire... it's a good film. It's nothing like the first one. But the only plus side is it explains they try and explain away the dementia angle. Apparently, the more interaction you have with Humpty Dumpty, the more forgetful you become, and you sort of start feel like you've got dementia or Alzheimer's, that sort of thing. That's like written in a line in the script, and sort of it's almost as if it makes for me, it detracted from that first film. But still, it's a low budget British horror that it's not terrible. It just wasn't what I wanted to see from a sequel to what I thought was a great British horror, even if it was called The Curse of Humpty Dumpty, So it kind of a bit of a letdown, but I presume there's going to be a third one. What have they made now? They're on the 5th Tooth Fairy movie as well, Killer Tooth Fairy. Jack and Jill 2 just hit Amazon the other day, which I'll probably end up watching. So I'm a sucker. But
I love that, which I'll probably end up watching.
And I'll probably end up paying for as well.
We've just resigned ourselves to this. I like that a lot. What do you make of this this Winnie the Pooh movie? What do you think it's going to be any good?
But it's, as I mentioned earlier, that project I'm doing about Scott Jeffrey. It's one of his films. It's super low budget. Will have been made for what? I mean, one person told me his budget's never going to even reach 50K.
Mm.
So it's been made for less than 50K. I know it's got picked up for cinematic distribution. So there's been some reshoots apparently to try and up the ante, and I know it's been pushed on all the horror sites and stuff. So, but it's still a super low budget British horror movie about a killer Winnie the Pooh. I mean, if they can, what the weird thing about the company is, 1 minute they'll have a really good film, but that sort of isn't like a lot of horror films are metaphors for other things. You know, they'll have a good film that's like a metaphor. Like I said, Humpty Dumpty is a metaphor for dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff. But then they'll have like this absolute schlock that's just crap for crap's sake. But that's what apparently the distributor asks for. They make what the distributor asks for. So the distributor probably asked for, I would imagine, some over the top film about a killer Winnie the Pooh. Whether they, I mean, if the reshoots of apparently they've done can improve on what they normally do, it might get the company some a bigger audience. But I think people aren't going to be, in the end, they're going to be like, what the hell was all that fuss about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think in the end, it's not, the films are, I mean, online, I'm not going to lie, online, I think I'm the only person who's, out of all the people I know that have reviewed their movies, that's ever given them anything over 2 stars. Most of their films are like 2-star. I've given some of that, so 5 stars. That Curse of Humpty Dumpty, I give it 5 stars because it's fucking brilliant. It's a brilliant film. It's a brilliant metaphorical film, but yeah, most people are like, this is terrible, 2 stars. This is terrible. I'm not even giving it a star. So I don't know where this Humpty Dumpty is going to hit. I really, really don't. No, sorry, this Winnie the Pooh is going to hit. I really don't know where. It's so weird that it's getting a massive push. I mean, good on them for getting it to go viral, but yeah, I don't think in the end it's going to be something that does not, in the eyes of Joe Public, is not going to live up to any sort of hype that's been built up around it.
No,
they're probably going to go where they're probably going to be complaining about the British accents, the amateur acting. I mean, usually they don't even do. I presume they're going to. That's what some of the reshoots are for the special effects, because they don't even a lot of the times do on-screen gore. A lot of the time, it's like someone will get smacked off screen, or they'll get strangled and a little trickle of blood or something. So unless the reshoots, I mean, I'm hoping the reshoots like cramming blood and guts galore, because then that'll at least, I think, satiate some of the people that are going to be rabid for a film about killer Winnie the Pooh.
See, even just that line, a killer Winnie the Pooh. Like, what the hell? Is that where we really got to?
I mean, the only issue I've got now is you know that other companies are going to start jumping on any sort of public domain, because obviously Winnie the Pooh went into public domain, didn't it? So any sort of nursery rhyme or anything that's gone into public, or anything they can get away with, like say we've already had Humpty Dumpty and Jack and Jill, and now we've got Winnie the Pooh. There's going to be everyone and his uncle's going to start jumping on the old. It's going to be as bad. They're going to be fairy tale horror. It's going to be as bad as like the Amityville movies that have bugger all to do with Amityville. I mean, but they've got some connection to it. It's going to be like any sort of fairy tale thing is going to be. It's going to cause a flood of cash-ins, which I will watch. Of
course you will.
To my own shame, I will watch.
And you'll pay for them.
Yeah.
Well, on that outrageous Winnie the Pooh bombshell, we are going to wrap up Talking Nerdly Episode 2, Season 1, Episode 2, or 1 EO2, as I like to say. This has been cool. I've enjoyed this again. Let's not wait too long again to do this again. We'll come back for episode 3 100%. But if we can take anything away from tonight, it's that Phil will watch any old fairy tale bullshit.
And I will pay $8.99 to watch it on Amazon Prime.
You forgot the word happily in the middle there.
Oh, happily.
So, please do check out Accident Man 2. The Romford Film Festival is coming in February. It's the tail end of February, and that's the Horror Fest. We've got some great movies there, so please do check out that. Nerdly and Romford have a very nice relationship going on. Wrestling, please do check out SovPro. Get yourself into Impact because it will get better. AEW is just going to keep going downhill. We can't stop that from happening. And yeah, I guess there's nothing else to say other than please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell for more when we put the videos out. Head over to nerdly.co.uk. That's our website. We've got lots and lots of reviews on there, loads of podcasts and wonderful stuff like that. Usually written by Phil because he's a lot busier than I am when it comes to writing reviews. I just can't write anymore. But anything you want to say, Phil, as we head out?
I'm going to one little plug that everyone should go out and buy this now.
Go for it.
Everyone needs to go out and buy that right now.
John Hughes.
Yes, it is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've already got every single album that relates to a John Hughes movie, but this box set is truly amazing. If you're a John Hughes fan, if you're an 80s child, you need to own that box set. You really, it's a super. And I'm not just saying that because I'm some vinyl hipster.
A vinyl hipster. I saw you post that on Instagram and I was like, oh man, that looks pretty dope.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I say I've got all the soundtracks on CD already, but yeah, it's a superb collection. Yeah, that's my recommendation. Go out and buy that.
Excellent. And with that, we will say we'll be back very soon for episode 3, and yes, I will ask you all not to forget about us. See what I did there?
Yeah, very good. Round of applause.